don't know what to. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. It's just got to grow up. Got to be able to let this go. It's just it's so hard to take. I think it's when so recently you could taste it. You could almost taste it. It just seemed to be right there in front of you, and it was going to be amazing. And done it so many times before. You knew how amazing it could be, and then it just goes so bitter. It just turns so bad. And my wife said to me, "You go to let it go. I'm not picking up this night, Saturday night, and all that." And so I'm in here, my wee. It's just it looked like everything was set up, you know. I think maybe it's because I've done it so often before that you think it's like muscle memory. You've got it in you. You know what it should feel like. You know you're imagining it so deeply, and you need it so much. I think when you really desperately need it, and it doesn't happen, and then it doesn't happen. It's horrible the way it has happened, and you don't want to get all kind of bitter, almost kind of sectarian about it, and you should just look to yourself, just go on with your life, move on. And I think I don't want to, go into the kind of bitter stuff and insulting other organisations, but fuck you, Tesco Maryhill. They pork chops were, it's the 18th. They were supposed to go off on the 18th. This is only the 16th, and they went off 2 days ago. They went off on the 14th. No, the 5th. Was it the 15th? No, it was the 14th. It was the 14th, they went off, and they're in the packet. I know I was talking about it before. I know I've been going about it in the last couple of pods, but I could just taste them, and they were just, I can see them because I've had so many pork chops that you know what they're supposed to taste like, and it'd be different if they looked a bit mouldy or whatever in the packet, but they were gleaming. They were the ones that were about an inch thick. There was 2 of them, and both for me because my wife's not interested in them, so I'm getting the 2 of them. And I see the sell-by date, it's all that's there. It makes you feel like they're extra fresh because the sell-by date is so. What's that? Monday? It's supposed to go off, and it went off on Thursday. I think it was Wednesday it went off. No, it was Thursday. It was Thursday. And, you can see that there's no mouldiness because they're so thick. It's the ones that got a lovely big bit of fat down the side of them. And they've got a bit of bone at the end, but you can't really see the bone. The bit of bone was a bit kind of brown. It had gone a bit brown, and that was the visible signs of the rot that was needed to be get rid of. But the whole pork chops were gone when you opened this. The minute you cracked open the packet, but the bits they were facing the kind of insides of the box, the bits of bone, the top of the box where the label was coming over the top, so you couldn't see them. I just started thinking, this is going to be great, and I cracked it open. Woof. Been there before, really familiar, and it turned really, really, you could taste it, and it was like the last time we were at Falkirk. It was the last time we won a game. It was the last time we didn't get beat. It was the last time we played at the Falkirk Stadium. In the final whistle that day, we'd banged in a wheen of goals that day as well. The hope, you could taste, this is us. We're on our way. We're on our way to the title. This could be the next time we come back here to Falkirk. We'd already found out that in the days leading up to that what the post-split fixtures were going to be, even though this was the last pre-split game we were playing the previous time we'd been to the Falkirk Stadium this season back in April there. I thought, maybe by the time we come back here, we'll already be champions. Or this is where we're coming to seal the title. No, Celtic are playing Hearts. The 2 of them are an absolutely tight. They'll probably draw. Or whoever gets beat, it'll benefit us. We can't really lose that day. Maybe we'll tie up the title that day at Falkirk, and if they insist on giving us this tiny allocation, it's just going to be meant because we're going to be Rangers supporters everywhere. They'll be getting the ladders. They'll be charging across that bit of wasteland between that wall and the big petrochemical plant, the refinery at Grangemouth, and there'll be the vans and all that, folk in Range Rovers, 4x4s, and that'll be going right across all that land, and they'll be getting up the top of their vehicle so they can see over, and it'll be a thing. it'll be a thing. And no, it turned out very, very different. Things went very, very south very, very quickly. And I'm never, ever going to buy pork chops for anywhere other than Annie's Land. Morrison's ever again. It's Morrison's Annie's Land. I went to Tesco Mini Hill. It's a great shop. It's a super store in so many ways, Tesco Mini Hill, but it let me down, and I'm not going back there. But with Rangers, I don't have any choice. I wouldn't want to go. Even their defeat is tastier than other teams' victories. So why do you feel so sad? The rain falls hard in a humdrum town. This town will drag you down. Grey outside, isn't it? Grey outside, raining. The rain. It's been sunny for weeks. That's the rain just hitting there. 42 in a row. 48 to go. Go on yourself, Glasgow. Yeah, it's just good to see the title being retained by Glasgow, the world's capital of football. The first city to host international football, as we currently understand. The first international ever get a World Cup this summer. You've been nothing without Glasgow. The European crowd records. It's Hampden as part of that one. That's about a league attendance. That's the old Estadio da Luz in 1987. Porto travelling to Benfica for that game in the 87. But it's Glasgow, 48 to go to get to the. Might as well just go for the 100. They're 49ers, just 48, 49. They'll help us get there. Glasgow United, Partick Thistle, came down Fairmont a wee lesson last night as well. Get back, you kind of East Coast types. Get out of here. This is Glasgow. Oh, Thistle. And we'll have 2 Saturdays or 2 weekends in a row, if you like, that down Fairmont hopefully going to get a lesson for Glasgow's finest. Glasgow teams that get Paisley. I mean, if they stay up, St Mirren, we can incorporate it. So we've got the League Cup winners, kind of basically Motherwell. Good win for Motherwell the day. That's the European slot, the bigger European slot, the best one. The like Hibs probably didn't film and do lose the Scottish Cup final. We'll get into anyway, but it's a good result for them. Beating the East Coasters, Celtic beating the Jambos. You've got potentials of winning the title. Just get Motherwell incorporated as well into Glasgow. It's just West Coast United. Fantastic day for West Coast of Scotland, kind of central beltish, whatever type of Glasgowish. Danny Rowe, I'm not sure about him. We're angry at Celtic, so somebody has to go. And Tav's already away, so we can't slag the owners because we need their money. Danny Rowe, I could just. Today could be the last time we see Danny Rowe. The whole game today was like awake, wasn't it? That's no pun on the fact that I was sleeping for most of it. Sorry, folks, I'm grinding to a halt. Just like Rangers season, my symbiotic relationship with my club is getting ridiculous. But the preview pod was like an hour and 44 minutes long. He says, a snagging item off the list, just kind of randomly mentioned. This is going to be messy, but it's just an hour and 40 odd minutes long, and I didn't post it until 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. For a game that's kicking off at 12:30, and then I had to go in there and timestamp it all to make it in any way consumable. Thank you to everybody who's watched it. There's a few hundred straight in there. A few hundred folks straight in there watching that stuff. It means the world, but it's because I can't even make up my mind. It's the problem with Rangers just now. We're winning so little, and there's so much pain and emptiness, but there's so much happening all the time. So much happening. And it all seems to mean so much. I don't know if we're constantly projecting ahead about the Tav thing and all that. What's happening with Danny Rowe? We're not just losing the title. It's like 4 games in the bounce we lost, and that's halted today in spectacular fashion. But it all feels very empty, and yet at the same time there's so much happening that could be so important. And Mikey Moore's saying stuff about his teammates, and is he having to go at Danny Rowe? Well, Danny Rowe's picked him the day, he's got in the team the day, and it's maybe Mikey Moore's just saying what Danny Rowe can say because he's got to be a bit more diplomatic. Well, then why did he not let Tav lead the team down the tunnel? Because he can't let down you don't know what's happening, so you're reading more and more into all this stuff, and you don't want to walk away when times are bad. You want to front up and just explain it and get. And it's more interesting actually. I mean, happiness writes white. Rangers are winning the title. I would just do a whole lot of stuff about previous experiences of Rangers winning the title and how it feels that day, and sing a song, and away we go. But I'll always sing you a song. But it's. I don't know, and it ends up, I'm getting up the day at the time I go to bed, and at the times that I post a few shots, and I've got to kind of edit them and all that to promote the pods, and then it's a few folk have started replying, so I start replying to them, and I've got to go to bed, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I realise, the game's not on, as I was mentioning in the podcast, the preview pod, the game's not on Sky, because another consequence of us not being in the title race, I'm just repeating last night's podcast, the preview podcast, is that the game's not on any of the 15 different pay-per-view channels that I've got on my telly through my Virgin Media package. Brilliant. I've got the final humiliation. No, I've seen every Rangers game either being there or watching it live in the telly. Well, competitive, I missed that friendly with Middlesbrough, as you know. But I've seen every game this season, and for the note to see the last one, and I think what made it worse is the fact that knowing Celtic against Hearts is live on Sky, and I don't want to know. I really, we all so badly want to know as Rangers supporters what's happening, but you don't want to be watching it. You don't want to be getting involved. No way I'm watching that instead of watching Rangers. And I, as a Rangers supporter, and I want to know everything that's happening with my team. I want always to be watching my team. That's the way to do it. But it's like a big, massive, just glowing box. That's what television is like. But it's in the other room, and I end up sitting my laptop in the kitchen. In fact, my wife's laptop, because hers is more modern than mine. It can take my laptop's ancient. That can take the VPN thing. Sorry, they go to VPN. I'm up all night trying to work out how do you get that VPN thing again, because I'll need to get that to pretend that I'm out of the country so I can watch it on Rangers TV. For a while I thought Falkirk TV was an option. It's audio only. I just want the least complicated thing. I don't really care who I'm giving my money to. I should get to Rangers, but not a problem giving money to Falkirk. But I was like, it's audio only, the Falkirk thing. So I need to get I thought it had the codes, the code for a free trial for the VPN, because I don't want to fork out for something I don't really use. But then I eventually opened up my wife's, and plus I've just got a new credit card. I was going to use my credit card to pay for it, and so I'm looking up the Halifax website and all that to try and find out how I activate my new credit. You don't have to do that now, surely not. Maybe you used to have to activate credit cards and stuff like that. They sent me ages ago. I make a point of not using my credit card for good reason, but I had to dig out all the envelopes, all the unopened, all the mail I don't open, and just feel all the while until I felt something kind of hard and square in one of them, because the credit card I had is out of date, because they've sent me a text that saying that went just last month it went out of date, and I'm like, oh God, I've got a credit card, and this is like 3-4 in the morning, because I know that I'm going to get up later than I want to. The game's kicking off at 12:30. There's a chance, how knackered I am, I'm going to sleep in. It's a Saturday. I might just sleep in and miss the game altogether, and then what kind of traitor would I look like? Celtic have won the league, and you're just pretending you couldn't see Rangers. You're watching the Celtic Hearts game, and you could. So I had to make sure that I was going to have everything set up. I'm more of a nighttime person. The minute I go to bed, that's it. It's all bets are off. So I had to get it all set up to get onto the NordVPN, which I don't really understand how that works and what it is. I know it's complicated the last time. Go to trial, see if I can get it for free. So I'm all over my own laptop, because I can't be bothered moving at this point in time to try and find out how that all works. And then I go through and I open up my wife's laptop, and she's already got the VPN. We've actually been paying for it. The one that I thought we'd have a free trial for last season, when we were in the same situation last season. Who were we playing last season? Away to Hibs. I did what Rangers TV. We were away Easter Road, and we drew that game despite having the ball that went over. They're like, I'll get to the point. And it's the VPN's there, it's working, and the thing I had, it's a whole lot of time that I've wasted. But I logged in, and you can see Rangers TV's giving me the option of the $9.99 thing that lets you. I was in the States. I was in the USA according to the VPN. Then that's good. I actually felt like that was a wee result. Then I go to bed and it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll go to bed and I'll pass out. It gets to 4 o'clock in the morning. The old circadian rhythms and the sun's starting to come up. Kind of gets I'm buzzing for some strange reason, because I've been on the laptop and my phone all night. That's why. And it's just like 5 o'clock. I'm finally passing out, waking up at 5:15, passing out again, waking up at 5:45, passing out, waking up at murder, and I get up, and I have to have a lie into the back of. It was about 10:30, 11:15 or something. Everything's taking me ages. I'm absolutely dog tired. I'm getting up, and my wife's got something else to do, so I've got the kitchen to myself. I'm not watching that telly. I'm sitting on a laptop in the kitchen, and the detritus and kind of brunch, breakfast type. So the eggs that I was like to shell the eggs completely, boil 2 eggs, and I haven't. But I don't know. It was Morrison's letting me down the shell was sticking to the side, and I can hear Tom Miller, the commentator on Rangers TV, suddenly pops on at 20 past. I had a whole thing, and I thought, it's not working. Coverage doesn't start until 20 past 12, you know. And I've even got another adult in the house to show me how to actually calm me down, and I was starting to freak out, but it's like, bang, suddenly Tom just starts talking to me in the kitchen at 20 past 12, and I'm just going to sit here and watch this. I'm mute the telly through in the living room. I don't want to know, just why I watch Rangers, see how this goes, and aye. Hey, dude, folks, welcome to your Fatic immediate post. No matter the hullabaloo we've been trying to create internally as a club since confirming we'd finished third in the league this season, has there ever been a Rangers game you've watched far less an absolute goalfest and an exhibition of exhilarating finishing that you've been less able to concentrate on, or a day when we've won the game and scored 5 that you're more gutted by than today's game reaction pod, coming to you in association with GersNet. Check out the GersNet preview pod from last night. I don't know who's on Sunday nights, the flagship show. Good luck to them. But the preview pod, I said another snagging item just floating along here in this kind of broken up podcast I'm giving to you just now. Very diffuse, the items in this podcast. But I think I said last night that it was Scott and Rob. Sorry, Brian. It was Brian and Rob. It was Brian and Rob that were on that pod last night. So I'm sure it's a fine preview pod if you want to check that out. I'm coming to you in association with GersNet, as always, and I'm also coming to you in association with pitch invasions. But joyful pitch invasions. They're back in. Pitch invasions are alright. As long as you're not wearing a mask. That's the main thing. Pitch invasions, they're actually fine now, as long as you're just having a bit of banter with the opposition player. We do pitch invasions at Ibrox, and it's only a few dozen that go on. Because there's fans seem to be getting closer to our players. I mean, that's an overreaction. We end up wearing masks or balaclavas, stuff like that. It's evil. It's the most evil thing that's ever happened in football. Just joyful stuff for the self support. Turns out the day actually, if you don't stop them, they will attack players and things. I'll just get in their face, just goad them. It's just part of the game. So pitch invasions are back in. I'm having it's over. I mean, stop. Why just stop the game? Just stop the game. It's over. It's done. You know, it's early. It's a bit early, but it's just stop the game anyway. Because if you don't, you might actually end up doing so. It's like COVID season. Just stop it early. That's fine. Just give the title to us. It's absolutely fine. Why would you complain about that? That's sorry, folks. My name's Alec Anderson. I've been waiting such a long time, looking out for you, but you're not here. What's another year? I've been waking such a long time, reaching out for you, but you aren't near. What's another year? What's another year to someone who's lost everything that he owns? What's another year to someone who's getting used to it? We didn't own it, we didn't actually own it. We thought we owned it, the old league title, but Celtic were the holders, so really it's theirs. But it's another year. We're going to have to wait for Rangers to win anything, or to win the league title, that's for sure. Because the League Cup final will be in December, so that's not a year. 42 in a row, 48 to go. Yeah. Sorry, folks. It's Eurovision. I'm going to. This is going to be a terrible podcast. I'll get quick when I move on to the game. Trying to deal with my emotions here, just not knowing what to put forward and what to hold back, and being a bit tired and all that. And it's just, I think this might be post-match reaction 58. I think they've played 58 games this season, and I probably did one for the friendly as well. We bruised, didn't I? Went to that game, so maybe post-match reaction 59. But there you go, it's all numbers of various types, 56, 57, 58, 59. We need to be the first to get to 60. That was my wee Eurovision song. That wee tribute there to the Irish, to the luck of the Irish. Our Eurovision's probably going to be the Conference League if Neil Lennon, that's again between two former Northern Ireland internationals, as the managers at Hampden next week, and we're heavily involved in that. our fate depends, our Eurovision depends upon what happens in that game. Neil Lennon get no luck in Glasgow last night, but Martin O'Neill, amazing, that's amazing. There was a rainbow. I think it was last night in Glasgow. There was a massive big rainbow. As Partick Thistle were kicking off against Dunfermline in the playoffs, but also you think with the luck of the Irish, Martin O'Neill has managed, his team are involved in a really tight title race, and they managed to get like 2 injury time penalties, an offside goal, and avoid a blatant red card. Just immediately, the day or so after, he's phoned up the head of refereeing and said, I hope we don't get any bad decisions that'll affect the general excitement of this amazing, lovely title race. It's quite, I mean, that's beyond coincidence, isn't it? That is just luck. That is the luck of the Irish. But that's... So, Tom Miller and Jonathan Johansson, they were doing the commentary on Rangers TV. Jonathan Johansson, JJ, and because my head's all over the place, and I was kind of putting together some kind of breakfast brunch type scenario there, and it was all going as tits up as everything else. I sat down and I hadn't heard who was the co-commentator. I don't watch Rangers TV. I only watch it like twice a season when there's no other way of watching any particular game. And the voice, I don't know, and he's calling him JJ, right, JJ. And because I was feeling a bit slow, I hadn't heard my second couple of Tetleys by that point in time. And I went to JJ, and I thought it was Jamaican. I think the JJ thing, the J for Jamaica, and just JJ sounds quite kind of... It was working on me subliminally in a really strange way. And his accent, if you imagine Jonathan Johansson's Jamaican, it's just some sort of Caribbean. Anyway, that's what his accent, his voice actually sounded like that. It sounded kind of a bit later on. It's like, I'm like, Jonathan Johansson? Doesn't he sound like Johnny? He started calling him Jonathan. So that was definitely who it was. But this is where a run of conceding at least 2 per game kind of properly started, when we lost 3 goals here in the last of the pre-split games against Falkirk at the Falkirk Stadium. But then I thought about it today. It's like, no, we lost 2 to Dundee United at Ibrox the game before that, but we beat them 4-2, and we'd conceded like 1 goal the game before that, and kept a clean sheet I think the game before that. So it didn't seem that big a deal at the time. And we conceded 3 to Falkirk, and then it's 3 to Motherwell in the following game, and then it's not just 2 to Hearts, and then 3 to Celtic, and 2 to Hibs, and I'm thinking what's going to happen. Congratulations to the under-17s as well as the under-19s. That was Tom keeping me informed. For some reason I managed to avoid the fact the under-19s won their league. Zebedee Lawson doing the business there, and a half. Fantastic goals. Fantastic goal, the free kick that. But him, Ashton Scally, and Aidan McCallie, and thank God we've got the kids. We've got the kids in the squad. They were on the bench. People always like to call for that kind of thing at the end of the season. Get the kids in there, but that's a reward the lads definitely deserved. John Souttar was back in, starting as captain's his first start for just about 6 weeks, I think, or 7 weeks. John Souttar, and Donny Wilson, he wants to get him minutes. He wants to get him some minutes. Going to go to the World Cup, John Souttar, but. The starting 11, I was kind of predicting it, obviously my preview pod, as is traditional, and I'd gone the right back. It's going to be Max Aarons, our kind of third choice left back is going to be playing right back. Max Aarons, he's right. He is a right back. Sorry, but he just feels like he's played at left back. His full back is going to be in it. Max Aarons is going to go over and play in right back, but no, because we didn't have James Tavernier, and we didn't have Dujon Sterling. Dujon Sterling never plays near Stirling or on that kind of plastic. Falkirk saying goodbye to the plastic pitch today. I'm getting on this for Tom Miller of Rangers TV. Fantastically informative commentary from Tom. Falkirk still the plastic. They're moving to a new fake kind of pitch next season, but this is the last of that. That pitch was getting the day, but we couldn't chance Dujon Sterling on that, and I just assumed to be getting Max Aarons over there, but no, it was the one and only Nasser Giga. He's moving at first. I thought we were going to go 3 centre halves, but not. 2 Romans at left back. Nasser Giga moves over to right back from his usual centre half slot. In comes John Souttar to play centre half alongside Manny Fernandez. John Souttar wearing the captain's armband. It was a sitting 2 of Mohamed Diamandi and Connor Barron. AASGAARD, I think, was 10. Mikey Moore on the left. JD GASSAMA on the right with Youssef Chermiti, the one up front. So there's obviously no tension between the manager, or certainly no retribution between Danny Rule and Mikey Moore, or maybe just after the Tav thing, he doesn't care what anybody says about him publicly. I think a lot of people were interpreting Mikey Moore's dig at his teammates for not having enough dig in Friday's pre-match press conferences. They were interpreting that as maybe, could that be construed as he's confirming the mentality problem that Danny Rule keeps denying? But I think it's more a case of Mikey Moore's able to say something that Danny Rule can't, and he's doing it for him. Anyway, he started there, making Rangers an all-orange. Poor crowd from Falkirk, your tiny wee kind of section, the poor allocation we get at Falkirk there. That was the only one that was sold out. The only section, the whole stadium. I mean, there's one, the whole side of that stadium, of course, it doesn't exist. But I missed a trick there. They could have sold out a whole stand. I'd probably found it easier to go to that game today than have my whole worries about VPNs and things like that. But aye, this is the third time this season we've played Falkirk at their place, and I think that is obviously the only reason that we've not won the league. Total SFA, SPFL and media conspiracy. How long can this go on? Yes, I'm pushing people to murder. So, the Stroop effect of Rangers wearing all orange, while Falkirk have got that carrot. It's like a white, a dark blue carrot they've got. It's a company, a promotions. It's a PR company, so it works really well because it really does grab my attention. But Rangers are wearing an orange kit, it really quite. But Yusuf Chermiti just started exactly where he left off from the last time he was here. Rangers are actually shooting into the exact same goals we're shooting into. They were shooting into the goals in the first half today that we're shooting into the second half when we're at Falkirk, which just seems like a few weeks ago, but yet an eon ago. When we think about how we felt about our emotions around about these games. And the pace and the goal scoring rate was continuing almost unabated from that second half back at Easter time. We put 5 goals into that same end that we started shooting into in the first half. Today there's 6 goals in that half. The second half of the game back in April. Second minute of the game, barely past the first minute mark. Dio, the disruptor, he's right up there, kind of high on our left-hand side. Intercepts. Falkirk attempted to play the ball out the back. They were suicidally open, Falkirk. I don't know if they were trying something, but the Rangers are thirsty for goals as well. I don't know if they're trying to prove something. It's far too late to prove anything with all the negative attention during the week. But right in there, Dio, he dispossesses Falkirk high up on the left-hand side. Then he keeps it up there out in the wing. I think Dio does really well. He's waiting for some support, and he gets it. Mikey Moore comes flying up there, and Yusuf Chermiti is anticipating the whole thing as well. Mikey Moore just takes the ball in his strides off of Dio, who lays it off nicely, and then Mikey Moore lays it off even nicerly. Slipped ball through to big Yusuf, he's even more in the kind of groove of flowing and slipping. They look, they've been playing for like half an hour. At least this is like 90 seconds into the game at most. He just moves on to it beautifully, nonchalantly almost, takes it forward, takes it away for the defender, and he's running out of time, he's running out of space, and it's a tight angle as well. He goes deep into the 6-yard line towards the byline. Few options for him towards the back post in bright orange, all orange, but no, he just slips it through under the keeper, the tightest of angles with his right foot. He did that, the first goal he scored in the last game at Falkirk, the same thing, into the same goal. It looks so simple, close up and so close range, you're thinking there's a mistake somewhere. Then you see the action replays and it's genius. It's absolute genius. He's come on leaps and bounds since Danny Rule got a hold of him. Has Yusuf Chermiti 4 minutes later, goal 2-0 to Rangers. I mean, it's like, there's no crowd noise. Tom Commentator has that thing. Sorry, I keep calling Tom Commentator because I think that's his name on Twitter. I don't know where I've got that from, but I can't let it go. Sorry, Tom. Tom Miller, the commentator for Rangers TV, he's got this lovely thing of just describing it, actually doesn't he get too excited, particularly a game like this, there's not a lot to get excited about. So you're almost thinking, this is kind of unreal. There's such a small crowd, it's a tinny effect with the audio. Gaz, legend of the pod, Gaz, he got in touch to tell me that they always record it in Glasgow. Is it Ibrox? They always record it in Glasgow. They're watching the pictures coming in as well. Tom and his co-commentator. That was really gone behind the curtain for me. That was ruining the illusion for me, but I could hear it, and I was, it is totally tinny. You can hardly hear the crowd properly, but nevertheless, it seemed a bit weird. We just banged in these 2 goals really quickly. Is this actually happening? Yeah, it is. Dio drives into the box this time, again over the left-hand side. He gets blocked. Having a good game, Diamandi. And the ball spins up off the the Falkirk defender blocks it, so it spins up over Diamandi. It's coming right back out. It's going back out the box, heading away with the Falkirk box, and just the anticipation for Chermiti apart from anything else. He's always in the right place today, whether it's to have a shot on goal or whether it's to lay it off for an assist. He moves on to it. I don't know, like a lion catching a gazelle or something. Anyway, he chests this thing. He catches the thing in his chest before, as it's coming down out the air. He's not even taking any other touches. Just catches it in his chest and bumps it up slightly with his tits, and then just right foot drop volley across the opposite corner into the top corner of the net, up, and just no way the keeper can get to it because he's put it over him, then it dips right down into the opposite corner. It's goal of the season, joint equal with his own effort against Celtic at Ibrox, and maybe it's second in the Chermiti showreel this season. An absolute belter of a goal, which nobody's watching in a fairly meaningless game, but it's a cracking goal. I'm joking last night about Chermiti getting a hat-trick to finish top scorer for the season. He would need 3 goals a day to overtake Tav. He's already top scorer in the league for us this season, Youssef Chermiti, but Tav was on 14 goals across all competitions. Chermiti would need to get a hat-trick to finish top scorer, all with league goals. He did. That's what happened. Within 6 minutes, he's got 2-0 up in 6 minutes. He's got a brace already. He's joint top scorer for the season. He's on fire. And a minute later, it's 2-1. Falkirk have pulled one back. Mikey Moore is not joking yesterday about us folding when things get tough. And maybe the concentration. But he might have been a bit wrong about the showboating, about how we're great when we're coasting, because we couldn't wait to make an arse of this. But we totally, after this point, he was right. We stopped ripping Falkirk to pieces. We stopped doing anything the second after we walked our ball into its own nets, into our own net, about a second after going 2-0 up. It's a bad week for the senior players at Rangers. It was a good 25 minutes or something of the game. We did nothing after this goal. No wonder. Two Romans' 7th minute of the game, but basically just kicked off again after we've gone 2-0 up. Two Romans ends up facing his own goal. He's under a bit of pressure from Colin Miller, but it's a firm enough, very professional pass back to Jack Butland from two Romans. Romans is basically putting it to a spot where he's letting Jack Butland have a proper swing at it with his foot. Jack Butland is in acres of space in his own box, get plenty of time. But maybe he's losing the armband to John Souttar so quickly, but Jack, he takes his eye off the ball. Maybe too eager to prove that he can be the sweeper keeper that we need for Danny Rule's blueprint to work. But I'm actually at the stage of feeling sorry for Jack. I don't want to go on too much about it, but he's rubbish with the ball at his feet. He's not going to be back next season. This was just, I felt terrible for him. It's very reminiscent of that was the Aston Villa keeper and the second City derby at Birmingham. Is it St Andrews? It was the Aston Villa keeper that let it go, and he's just kind of almost taking his eye off the ball and lets it run off his foot into the net. It was pretty bad. And I say for the next kind of 20 minutes or so, we were pretty bad. Just disappeared, and you're thinking, Mickey Moore's absolutely right. This game doesn't even mean anything, and we're crapping it. 27th minute though, goal. Shut up, Alec. Giga picks it up in a roving right back sort of style. You think he's a centre half. He's been moved today, but he was fitting the parts. Was Nasser Giga bombing up and down the wing, actually being a proper wing back, and he plays in Youssef Chermiti, who's even wider on the right hand side, even wider right, going towards the penalty. He's watching the line. Youssef Chermiti holding the ball up, and then he plays a lovely ball into GASSAMA, who does this thing, he kind of stamps on the ball with his right foot as he turns, spinning the centre half that's up his arse, JD GASSAMA, and he smashes it in with his left. It's a sublime skills that he showed in front of goal at the start of the season, and I think folk are maybe, he then, it's a beautiful celebration, JD GASSAMA. It's a beautiful goal and beautiful celebrations from JD GASSAMA. He does the Tav baseball bat swing. I think a few folk have interpreted that as him having a go at Danny Rule, because everybody wants Danny Rule to get, not everybody, sorry, but if you want to create a noise, let's get Danny Rule sacked in that. But it's not about that. I think it's about having a go at Martin Boyle, and fuck him. Hibs getting beat today, although a fantastic day for all Hibs fans, but I think it's just defending his captain, hopefully, and after what Martin Boyle was doing the other day when he scored that goal against us at Ibrox, it was nice to see the Tav tribute celebration from JD GASSAMA. You don't lose or win a title in any one moment of the season. That's what league titles, league seasons are all about. It's a kind of accumulation of points and goals and things like that. It's just who amasses the most relevant data across the 38 games. But I think you would say that the point where we seem most blatantly to have lost it has been the 3 straight games we lost after the last time we came to Falkirk. Getting into that post-split, feeling like we could win the league, and then our first 3 games post-split, battered in all of them. But I think we might have given the title to Celtic in the second half of their visit to Ibrox. And no, back in March when we're 2-0 up, blew them away in that first half. Chermiti also got another 2 quick goals in the first 20-odd minutes of the game that were both sublime in completely different ways. Jack Butland, too, I feel bad for kind of slagging there, but it's probably his last game for Rangers. He twice saved the penalty. Twice saved the penalty in the dying embers of that game that would have kept it at 2-1. And we stepped it up after Celtic went to 2 each. But Jesus, even though that goal was coming for ages and ages for Celtic and they get the penalty, Jack Butland saves it once and he saves it twice. And that's, JD GASSAMA sticking up for Tav, even though Tav's away now. That's maybe I respond as well to what Mikey Moore's. I respond to what Mikey Moore's saying. He's got his teammates back, even though it's far too late. And Jack Butland has his complete rick for that first goal that we conceded today. Well, he was totally let down by his teammates when it came to that game. Twice, he gave them all the time in the world to get in there and block and help him block that moment. I think that would have been a defeat for Celtic that day. They wouldn't have got that point. I think it would have been 3 points to us. It would have knocked him off. I don't know. I feel as if that was really crucial. I'm lashing out at people. It might seem like I'm blaming people, but it is a team effort and it's a season-long effort. Diamande goes up the wing. He beats a few guys, and he puts a cross onto AASGAARD's head in the 6-yard box. He should have scored. Big Thello, point blank save from the keeper, but Thello should have scored. Easy header for him, just barely 6 yards out. 34th minute, substitution. Giga goes down holding his hammy. We can't have anything. It's the last game the guy's going. He's not going to be coming back, I don't think. Nasser Giga and of Burkina Faso and Wolves, but there he goes. He's bombing up and down. He looks like a good right back. He's a good kind of auxiliary right back. But the fact that he's overextended himself to make these runs, he shouldn't be making these runs. And that's him. He's pulled a hammy. I think the way he came off the park, it just looked more like a precaution. He's probably strained it. But Danny Rule brings on Max Aarons to go in at right back. He should have followed my advice for last night. That he gives Giga a big kind of emotional, perhaps self-conscious, public thank you for his service, does Danny Rule, on the sidelines there. Will we see your likes again, Big Nasser? I don't think so. I think that meant the way it was very kind of animated and almost performative. It means Nasser Giga's gone. That's him. He's away. Again, it's Tom Commentator saying this. He's thanking him for his service there. And B, I don't know if it means Danny Rose perhaps doing some PR. Maybe he's always going to do that. But it's like, look at me, I'm a nice guy. There's a lot of folk think he's really horrible for what he did to Tav. Don't bother your ass with that, Danny. I don't. Barry Ferguson is loved by the same people that hate you, and the way Barry wouldn't shake hands with guys he just took off in the first half at Kilmarnock. That wasn't a problem then. That was Barry showing who's boss. So don't worry about it. Gaffer, 40th minute, it's a penalty, hilarious, or a controversy, which we're not allowed to have. Shut up. Just let Celtic get their 99th minute penalties. Shut up about it this week. Don't give the DSF. We all love referees now at Celtic. VAR check for Connor Barron handling the ball in a packed box as Falkirk's. Was it a corner, a free kick coming in? Well, certainly it must have been a set piece because we had the ball packed from what I can remember. But at first I thought it was Diamande that had handled it, and I just kept, every time they showed a replay, I'm like, Dio's not handling that. But he'd been running about complaining so much. It's my fault for not concentrating properly in the game. He's running about complaining so much that I assumed it was him that touched it with his hand, like he's complaining to the ref and all that. But then they're showing the replays that they were slowing it down. His corner bar and did the thing of jumping, and his hands going up above his head. It looked like there probably was contact, but it was just, I don't know. Don't care, but maybe I should. It's penalty to Falkirk. And by the time Colin Miller kind of slotted it away, it's just like we can't really get away from them. This is back to 3-2, but just everything's done now. There's nothing to play for. I actually wasn't caring. By the time he slotted it in, just after Tom Miller had told us that Shankland had just given Hearts the lead at Parkhead, I've never been less interested or less worried about a rival striding up to hit a penalty versus Rangers. It's mental. Couldn't have cared less if he put it away or not. I knew it was too soon. I felt sorry for the Jambos ahead of time. As my admiration really did go out to them. They've made a proper go of it, the Jambos. But that's the goal concession rate, which began for Rangers here 5 games ago. I mean, we conceded 2 goals, 3 league games in the trot. That was Livingston, Celtic, and I can't remember off the top of my head who else it was. Hearts, we beat Hearts 4-2. It was 2-2 and 2 and we conceded. But then we got a kind of clean sheet against St Mirren, seemed to have stabilised. But, Dundee United scored 2 against us at Ibrox. Next game, Falkirk scored 3 against us at the Falkirk Stadium. Game after that, Motherwell scored 3 against us at Ibrox, and it was 2 at Tynecastle we conceded, and it was 3 at Parkhead and 2 to Hibs on Wednesday night. 15 goals in the last 6 games. It was going into this one. This was the last goal we conceded in this game, but that's basically a pattern of 2-3-3, 2-3, 2 and 2 that we've conceded. 17 goals in 7 games. Rangers have conceded. That's pretty bloody terrible, and that's why Danny Rowell's coat is on a sugary peg. I've heard folks saying Danny Rowell's on a sugary peg. His coat's on a sugary, his hat or his coat's on a sugary peg. If he's on a sugary peg, then he's his own worst enemy. You know, Tom tells us, shocker Rooney, that Celtic have been awarded and scored an injury time penalty at Parkhead. Hopefully it's so late it stops them getting a quick second, and it lets Hearts get down the tunnel at half time and reset in that dressing room. But who wins this title, despite it not being us, makes a world of difference to our day, our summer, our life. Half time at Falkirk. We come back into the second half. No more changes from ourselves, but Falkirk have made 3 substitutions. But the game's it starts exactly the same way. Yusuf Chermiti scores within 2 minutes and a half kicking off. Different goal this time because he can do everything, big Yusuf. Chermiti's second hat-trick of the season, and he will finish this season as top scorer with 15 goals. What a transfer. What a transformation as well under Danny Rowell, who, like Jock Wallace, started his last stint in charge of Rangers, Danny Rowell, with a 3-0 loss at an all-red team in Scandinavia. But it looks like Danny Rowell will not repeat the run that November 1985 loss at Pittodrie. That's what Pittodrie, Scandinavia. It feels like it's really far northeast if you're from Ayrshire. That confirmed for Rangers changing managers at that time. Jock Wallace this was his first game back in his second stint. We were on 4 league losses. I know, but that was like Tommy McLean. He'd been in his caretaker manager. John Gregg did a couple, and we were intermixing those with League Cup and European wins. So the most we lost was 3 games in the trot, but and only 2 of them were league games. But this Danny Rowell comes in and we get beat 3-0 off Brand Bergen in Europa League. It's his first game in charge in Norway. Jock Wallace comes in and he's getting beat 3-0 off Aberdeen, Pittodrie in his first game back, his second stint as manager. So that was the 5th league game in the trot that we'd lost. That was the record we were talking about during the week after the Hibs beat us. So Danny Rowell doesn't get that 5th league loss in the trot. He just looks like he's going to avoid. Anyway, 2 Romans, what a cross from the left wing as Rangers flood forwards, and what a natural scorer's header, and as he ghosts just into that 6-yard box. He's so tall, up he goes, backstick-ish. Yusuf Chermiti, bang, great goal. So 49th minute, straight away Falkirk are in on a goal again. We're winning 4-2, but it's a long, long way to go in this half. Jack Butland, he does well to stop them, point blank, but Falkirk really should have scored. There's a few fouls in JD GASSAMA, 64th minute. Tochi Chukwani comes on for Connor Barron. Big Tochi's last game for us, as our Rangers TV commentator tells us, was here. So his last goal for us was here back in April, the last time we were at Falkirk, to stop us feeling that all was lost. When remember 2-0 down in the first half, worst we'd played all season. It seemed like, I think it was actually still that opening of that half at Falkirk the last time. Very different weather. And we're shooting the opposite way. Chukwueze having a terrible game, but he then scores a goal just before half time, 2-1. But it then had us feeling that we're going to win the league by the end of that game. It turned things around. It's just big Tochi on as a kind of cadaver version, a zombie version, let's just say it, of what he represented the last time he was here. We're winning this game now, and it feels that all is lost. We're maybe feeling again that Hearts being one each with Celtic has given us that last forlorn hope that disaster's going to be avoided. Real end of the season stuff at Falkirk by this point. The spaces in the stands and the echoes of solitary fan shouts and the tinny songs from our smaller allocation, the tiny away sections, all being reflected in the football, which is doing zero to take our minds off the game that will truly make or break our day. Hearts are 20 minutes from the title. They're 20 minutes from the title. And where they are, the stadium, the scenario, the mise en scène that they're playing in, they might as well be another 66 years away for the title. 74th minute, Falkirk go down our left, flash a ball across a 6-yard box that they're unlucky. Another Bairns goal here will not just going to threaten our ability to win this game, but also our ability to avoid 5 straight league losses. 77th minute, it's a penalty to Rangers. That's the way to end the season. Nice move up the right, and as Chermiti kind of moves towards the ball that's played into the right-hand side of the box, Nielsen fouls him. I thought he just bangs into him, he just bars into the back of him, but he might have been tripped as well. I'm not sure, but I don't know. It looked a bit soft-ish. It's one of those penalties. It seemed quite a clear penalty, but it's not dramatic. So the big man's lying on the deck, and being Portuguese, I'm thinking he won't get up, like he's kind of still a bit injured from the foul that put him down, and I don't know if that's just to embellish the thing, just to make it more believable in a way that Portuguese players are known to do. I don't know, but I was really hurt, just to make sure it's definitely, if VAR's going to have a look at it, it definitely was a penalty. I'm really hurt, but he's so hurt and he's down there so long that Thello AASGAARD takes the ball and spots it, so he gets to take it. Thello AASGAARD, one step, drills it ferociously accurately into the top left-hand corner past Falkirk's man in pink. Oh, they muscles, they big muscles that he always seems to be checking out on himself. Big Thello AASGAARD's, they paid the rent today as he just blasted that thing from barely any kind of lift of his leg at all, right in that top corner. Cracking penalty, Gromit, and that's 5-2 to Rangers. 80th minute, thank God, now it's happening. 3 substitutions, on come the kids. Our future's safe, just the way it was really safe that last game of the season when we beat Hearts at Tynecastle. Last game of the season. Beat them 3-1, we did last game of the season at Tynecastle. Back at the end of 2021-2022 season, we had a European final a few days later, so we put the kids out there, and every single one of them that won that game 3-1 at Tynecastle is a first-team regular now for Rangers. It's a good reward for the kids. Aidan McCallie and Zebedee Lawson and Ashton Scally come on. Mikey Moore, Thello AASGAARD and 2 Romans, they all go off. Right, boys, just defend a 3-goal lead for 10 minutes plus injury time. Easier said than done in this Rangers team, so it's quite a task for them. But 16-year-old Ashton Scally, the only fetus ever to play SPFL Premiership football. I mean, Mikey Moore's sitting down at this point. He goes off, straight away he sits down at the technical area, and that way the Waynes can sit anywhere and be totally comfortable. The bones haven't fully formed yet. Waynes can sit in a concrete pillar in the middle of a roundabout somewhere in Spaghetti Junction down Birmingham and fall asleep because they don't have any. Mikey Moore's doing that. He's sitting there like, I'll just park my arse here. In front of the technical area, talking up to the adults now, and his trackies chucked to him. The only thing he's missing is like an ice cream cone and one of the wee windmill kind of things that the Waynes had to look at him. But he looks 48 years old compared to Ashton Scally. That's why he's leaving. That's why Mickey was going to Spurs. I'm like the youngest guy somewhere. I can't be embarrassing myself looking this ancient in front of these young dudes that are playing for us. A few nice touches for the young lads. Very confident, very assured. Good on them. 1 minute injury time. When do you see that? When do you see 1 minute injury time getting put up? When you're 6-0 down to Bruges, in Bruges, the referee gives one, was it 2 seconds he gave in the 3 seconds of injury time when we were 8-0 up on Queen's Park. So I hope we have seen this before. That league game, that just seems like you should do things by the letter of the law. There's been penalty checks, there's been VAR checks, there's all that kind of stuff, but Zebedee Lawson has a shot which goes not embarrassingly wide from outside the box, and the referee blows when the ball's in the air from the by kick. An absolutely disgusting drop in the standards of scoring by both sides here. They're cheating their respective publics. 6-3, 9 goals the last time they met, and yet somehow a mere month later, on the very same pitch, they can only muster 8 goals between them. Rangers hit 5 goals to stop hitting 5 straight of a less welcome type. Danny Rose out in the... It's 5 straight losses. I just try to make it different. Austrian. Danny Rose out in the plastic, congratulating big Yusuf Chermiti, who's got the match ball and is down to his vest bra thing already. And then Tom Miller, the commentator, just leaves us. Rangers TV. Their coverage quite brutally stops. And I feel there's a reason for that. There's stuff he doesn't mention. He's been giving us an update on the score at Easter Road and people getting sent off for Motherwell. He's been updating various scores, but there's something missing here. But he's leaving me to go and find out for myself, Tom of Rangers TV, what he clearly doesn't want to tell us. Something in his tone as he wrapped up, Tom commentator, which made me feel a bit like Vito Corleone. Just out of his bed for the first time since Solozzo's botched attempt in his life, asking Tom, consigliere of Minehagen, why he wasn't telling his Don what everybody else already seemed to know. But I already knew. They shot Sonny Anderson on the causeway. 22 years and a month since I watched us drawing 1 each at Livingston on pay-per-view, a game that basically handed Celtic the title. And I watched that instead of watching Celtic losing 2-0 to Villarreal and El Madrigal to stop Martin O'Neill getting them to a second straight European semi-final. The whole country was talking about that game. That was the thing. It felt really weird. Their game was almost meaningless then, but it's Rangers and I'm always going to watch Rangers. But you felt almost like you were being bitter because of the weight of media coverage. And I was also quite interested as well because I didn't want, as you know, I'm very proud of Rangers' European record. I don't want Celtic getting ahead of us. We hadn't been in a European final for 30 odd years at that point in time, but I remember that night watching that game against Livingston. I'm sure it was pay-per-view. Maybe it was just Setanta. Maybe it was just normal Setanta it was on, but it felt like I think the Celtic game in El Madrigal was on Villarreal, but they were pals anyway. They've been pals for life ever since Villarreal. Rangers. That night, we drew 1-1 at Livingston, and Martin O'Neill get beat 2-0 to stop second, getting to that, and we got the good result in the insignificant game this time. As Celtic get the good result in the big one this time. They were already 2-1 up. By the time I get into the living room, I've got the laptop, as I say. I'm not touching the tabs in the laptop. I'm not opening up any other tabs to see any other, because I want to concentrate on the Rangers game, but it's there. It's just there, like a thumping headache. The tension, and knowing that the last mention the score being 1, it's my phone. I had it in that bit in the corner of the kitchen, just to the left of the sink, under the boiler, the unit the boiler's in. I've got that the bit where I put my wallet and my keys in that. But I've got that tin with the ticket stubs for the non-fitness stuff, and the theatre stuff, and the cinema and all that. All the ticket stubs are in there, and I sit. It's that socket that's earlier. If you charge the phone via the adapter, it doesn't charge as fast as it does if you do it straight into the wall. I had it earlier charging because it was only like 29% when I checked. I was going to be wanting to do a post-match reaction pod after. I needed the phone charged up, so I had the phone earlier, so I wasn't. I had it on mute as well. I didn't want any interruptions, any notifications. I had the telly on in the living room, but I had it on mute. But it was the slowest walk of my life. It is the hope that kills you. And I just walked through and I could see straight away, it's 2-1, bastards. And it's like 2 minutes into injury time, 8 minutes injury time. So I just sat there, I thought, Alec, grow up, just watch it. It's daft to do anything else, to pretend you're interested in anything else. Our game's done. You've watched it. You've watched the Rangers games. Sit down and just, they're winning anyway, so there's no investment. You're not getting yourself overexcited. So I sat down and I watched the last 6 minutes of injury time. Well, the 5.5, it turned out that were, 5.5 of the 6 that are still allowed at that point in time by the officials. It's really weird. You get a bit more time when Celtic are needing something for a game, but you get a bit less when they've already got it. And it was just, I'm back to 1986 as a kid. You know, what was it? 40 years and 13 days ago. That's a programme behind me, if you can see it. I think I've got this filming back to front to try and save a bit of data, but as soon as comes out on the Ibrox pitch with Walter Smith to announce themselves as managers, we've got to beat Motherwell and beat them 2-0 to qualify for Europe. We finished 5th in the league, but it's Hearts are up at Dens Park trying to win the league, and Celtic are usurping them. Hearts are usurping themselves by losing to Dundee, but Celtic are 5-0 up at Paisley. At least this time I'm not having to get a train back to Ardrossan, which goes through Paisley, to get back home through Ibrox. This time I'm at home. I'm watching the game from home. I'm sitting in my kitchen deliberately eschewing the ability to watch the Celtic game at the same time as I'm watching it. I could just take my laptop, sit down, try and watch the Rangers game with the Celtic Hearts game on in the background, and the bigger telly in the living room. We've got a telly in the kitchen. It's not connected up to the Virgin Media package. It's just kind of Freeview stuff. But all this technology, all this stuff that's there's available to us now that I would have blown my mind in 1986. That day in 86 when I'm at Ibrox watching. It wasn't a meaningless Rangers game, but it was as meaningful as the ones Hearts and Celtic were playing that day when the Jambos last nearly won the league. All that technology. I think back then you'd be thinking, in the future, things are going to change, things are going to be different, but not Celtic. It'll get more modern. The phones are smaller now. The phones are smaller. 17-year-old Alec. But the clubs, the big clubs, they are more powerful than ever. So don't worry that Rangers are going out of fashion or whatever. The Rangers are behind the times, because Celtic are more dominant than they were back in the 80s. That was the first time that a Old Firm team had won the title for 4 years. Was it 4 years? Dundee United won the league 83, Aberdeen 84 and 85. This was Hearts going to go for 4 in a row. So that was Celtic getting one back for Glasgow, getting us back on the map that day. That was it, 3rd of May, 1986, last game of the season. It was all Hearts when I'm watching that. I sat down, it was all Hearts in that injury time period that was left. When at the time I sat down to watch it, Celtic kept giving the ball away. They were panicking a bit, just a bit desperate. The way they're clearing the ball, and you're thinking maybe it's all set up for a dramatic Hearts finally get proper revenge. Maybe they'll. We know, we're getting a text ever since and folk messaging you saying, I knew they were going to win. I knew Hearts had no chance. Nah, I'm saying that as well. I felt that as well. But we didn't. You don't. That's the hope does have to kill you, else you'll not fit the fun. As soon as Hearts keeper come up, this is we had a chance today, so I'm not trying to pretend that Rangers haven't fucked us up themselves. That's what's adding to the pain there. But as soon as your keeper come up, as it went into the last minute injury time, I knew. That's when I knew how this was going to go. And I was at a wedding once. It was the worst wedding I was ever. No, it wasn't the worst. No, it wasn't the worst. It was the second worst wedding. I hate weddings. It's kind of forced enjoyment. Usually means so much to people who can only force enjoyment. I get too much to prove. But it's one of the most unpleasant experiences of my life. This particular wedding. But I remember the bride coming down the aisle with this look on her face. Somebody we knew, it's a friend. But she's come down the aisle with this look on her face that revealed who she really was. Looking at everybody as she's coming down the aisle, we're kind of. I might have mentioned this before. It's one of these transformative memories. She was it's like slow motion Marco Tardelli 1982 World Cup final. She was coming down the aisle like Marco Tardelli in the 82 World Cup, but he veers off to the left and goes in about his the subs and all that, and all his teammates. He's just losing it. But she was doing that a bit in slow motion, almost like, yeah, it's me. I've done it. But it was performative. It wasn't. Marco Tardelli is genuinely losing his shit. Marco Tardelli, everybody knows that is what it should look like. that looks like exactly what it must feel like when you score basically the winner. It's going to be the winner in the World Cup final. You're dominating against the West Germans. It was just love me, adore me. Oh my God, this is amazing. I'm amazing. This is amazing. I mean, the outward evidence of the type of emoting that's close enough to emotion for them to sell as a victory, because they only understand emotion as a currency. That kind of person. It's a kind of bullying. And there'll be no kind of honest, genuine chat about it afterwards, about the wedding, about everything, about whatever the emotional centrepiece is. It'll just be this, that went really well. Oh, that was magical. That was amazing. Oh my God, that was brilliant. And you feel, I mean, I'm a guy who's sitting doing football podcasts, hundreds of them every year, to emote and give you oh my God, Rangers mean so much to me. So I'm not coming at this for a sense of superiority, but you see, a lot of people doing this at the end of Grand Designs. Grand Designs, Kevin MacLeod, it's a kind of posh person's version of Homes Under the Hammer. Somebody wants to go and build a house from scratch, a big fancy house out in the country or something like that, or redevelop in an up-and-coming gentrified area of South London. And it's really, as all these programmes are, actually about the people. Do you have a nosy at the kind of person who does this and see what they go through and all that? But Kevin MacLeod is so often, that's why he's great. Kevin MacLeod, proper private school boy, splits a tour, hard as nails, but very pleasant, but not taking anybody's shit, but at the same time he's not being offended by anybody. He's brilliant at the job. But you can see him being press ganged, by the couple that I've just shown him at the end, or shown him the house completely finished and a wee recap and everything they went through, and he's been following the development of the house for months or years, however long it's taken them to get it built. And this is where they're supposed to be really smug and everything's cool now and they've got the house they wanted, their dream home. And it's kind of the press ganging him into believing it was all totally worth it and we're living the dream, which would be more relatable. I mean, some of them genuinely are, and genuinely lovely folk and all that, and I'm quite happy to tell you everything that went wrong and what a nightmare it was, and they wouldn't do it again, But these folk, no, it was great. It was perfect. Everything was fantastic. It'd be more believable. They'd be more believable if he didn't seem so kind of cripplingly self-conscious. That people might see the raw, kind of unbraided elements of your real story, which you clearly don't think fit the image of yourself and the story it needs from this experience, this latest stage man experience, to kind of maintain, augment that story of yourself you're trying to celebrate. That's Celtic, that is. That's what Celtic are. Game's over. The game's over. Thank you. We've won, and it's emotional. It's magical. There's no another 30 seconds. No 30 seconds to play. Oh my God, who's going to score 2 goals in 30 seconds? Who's going to manage to score 2 goals in 30 seconds? Are you stupid? Everybody, oh my God, come and see that. Listen to this crazy person. No, I just mean, surely you want it done right. And if there's no chance of anybody ever scoring 2 goals in 30 seconds, then you'll not be worried about letting the game. If you let the game restart properly, it'll actually kind of legitimise your, oh my God, why are you trying to kill a fairy tale? Why are you trying to murder a fairy tale, you bigot? What about the Waynes, you monster? Is that Celtic fans attacking Hearts players? Aye, but they're nowhere in balaclava, so it doesn't really count. And COVID, Juventus are gone for trying to augment a record that they were setting for winning consecutive Serie A titles, and Juventus are like, listen, folk are dying. It's going to have to message it to the fans. If we can't play on, we can't play on. That's it. Just abandon this season. Scrap it. Liverpool hadn't won the title in 30 years. 30 years. Laughing stock down south. One of the biggest stories down south. Liverpool's continued failure for 3 decades to win the title after having been the most powerful club in England for years when I was growing up. And they're on the cusp. They've almost got it in the bag, and it looked like they were just going to cancel the 2019-20 season. It was going to, because folk were dying and all that. Jurgen Klopp just puts a statement out, look, we'll just have to go again next season. We'll have to just, if we're going to rip it up and start again, it'll be heartbreaking, but there's more important things in life. Celtic, stop the season, give us the title. Stop the season, give us the trophy. It's two old firm games still to play. We had a game in hand on them. In the way they completely collapsed when football was resumed. You maybe just I think we'd have heard more about it if it was the kind of thing that was happening. Nope, give us a title, 9 in a row, here we go. And we'll loan you players, we'll not let you, we'll vote you into relegation, and we'll just give us a title. Bitter, you better fucking believe it. But don't worry, it's all kind of projection. I'm using it all to filter family trauma and all that. It's no Celtic. It's certainly no Celtic fans. It's just Celtic themselves and the shit I've watched over the last few days, from the last few years. Just the way they just everybody's evil until they get what they want, and it's like, why don't you love us? 56. They have won title 56 today, Celtic, for the first time in my life, and I'm old. I am 56. I'll soon be 57. And for the first time in my life, for the first time in anybody's life, for the first time for 97 years, Celtic have been champions of Scotland more times than Rangers. That's a fucking disgrace. Actually, it's no. I know the temptation to get. It's not inexcusable, isn't it? Third place isn't inexcusable either for Rangers, especially when we're only 10 points off the top. We finished 17 points off the top last season. We finished 10 points off the top this season. But Hearts, get in there, and Celtic were terrible, and we should have just... It's just no. It's no. It's just hard. That's a different thing from inexcusable. This is 2012. 2012. 2012. It's 2012, stupid. This was always going to be at least 20 years to recover. Anything ahead of 2032 is a bonus, and I think we're actually ahead of schedule. We just have to suck it up and get on with it. Hearts, they'll be devastated. There's no way the Jambos can recover from this. There'll be another 40 years before they have a proper crack at the title if they don't completely just implode as a club. Hearts, this is the last three since they last won the league in 1960. They had beaten at home 2-0 by Kilmarnock when they get beat at home 1-0 by Kilmarnock in 1965. Would have let them win the title in the last day, but then we know what happened in 1986, and then I actually do feel sorry for them. It's fucking brutal what they've had to go through as a club. But the one thing I would say to them is Tony Bloom, what he did with Union St Gilloise, who are even further away than Hearts, I would say, for the top ends of the Belgian Pro League, and had been champions, I think, a lot further back than Hearts have been champions of Scotland. They've been champions of Belgium a lot. It's the 20s and 30s, I think. I'll need to check that, sorry. Should be shooting my mouth off. But what I do know is they've finished champions for the first time in decades last season, as we all know, Union St Gilloise. The season before that, they were second by a point. The season before that, they were third by a point and goal difference, for the champions. So Tony Bloom does not let this stuff go. Hearts are going to be back next season as well. They could actually win the title next season. They will win the title next season if it's the same plan as Tony Bloom brought to fruition at Union St Gilloise. You need to feel it though, troops. We need to feel it. You don't got much choice, have you? This is why I said last June, cool your boots about the new owners. It's what we need. It's what we need. It's undoubtedly exactly what we need is owners with this kind of level of money as we've got for the 49ers, but it's going to be traumatic at first. It won't go smoothly, I said last June. No for us. We're too big. Tony Bloom can just gather up Hearts and Awana and completely redirect them over the course of a summer. He can't do that with Rangers. I know this is what we've been saying since 2012. What I've been saying since 2012 is any time before 2032, as I say, is ahead of schedule for Rangers to start retaining titles and or winning multiple trophies per season. That's the target that the Rangers support have established, and I still can't say for sure if it's the relentless slagging you take online, the relentless stuff you get from the media, which is part of the game. This is all part of the game. It's up to you. Can ignore it if you want, and Rangers fans and Rangers people are absolutely doing that to Celtic people. Chris Boyd embarrasses me at times, Mise Patter, but I still feel as if what we've done in Europe over the last few years, that's the problem this season. That we haven't reached another European quarter-final. We're embarrassed in the group stage this season. That hasn't helped matters. But I have a funny feeling that if we win a league title next season and Celtic do well in Europe, or do better than us in Europe, we don't go to a group stage again, Celtic, the real achievement again will start turning to being Celtic in Europe. We need to look after ourselves and make sure we understand what is objectively the best achievements in Scottish football by Scottish football teams, and it's not always about winning Scottish tournaments. It's Europe's a huge part of that as well, and I don't think we've really sold to ourselves the achievements we've had and how much it's a parallel achievement, I'd say, to what's been done in Scotland by Celtic. It's a way we found under Steven Gerrard to get our status back as a club, to make our mark, to have the successes that keep us going spiritually. we did it through amazing achievements in European group stages and getting into knockout rounds and all that. A couple of finals, well, before and after the events of 2012. And I think Celtic fans will be constantly telling you, but Tav's only won 3 trophies and Callum McGregor and Scott Brown won all these trophies in Tav's time at Rangers. That's not the parameters. That's the parameters they're setting up because it suits them. Remember, they don't really have your best interests at heart. Anyway, I think we can safely say that what we all feel that we want just now more than anything is to see Rangers back, winning league titles, retaining league titles, winning multiple trophies, and to be able to do that again before 2032 would be ahead of schedule, and we'd need these kind of funds that we're getting from the 49ers to have a chance of doing that, and we still do. It's a generational hit that we took in 2012. And we took it in the age of the monopoly as well. To make it worse, we took that hit in 2012. Lower league football, in the 4th tier, having to start back down there to work our way back up before we could even think about European football. But if you look at what Bayern, Juventus and Man City, Paris Saint-Germain even, have done in their domestic leagues, amazingly powerful domestic leagues in the 21st century, compounded by the Champions League money. And the owners come after the Champions League money. The ownership, that comes after the abilities established to get regular Champions League access. They come in there after that. They compound. That's hopefully what we're getting that, and that's what we're getting with the 49ers arriving at us. But those domestic leagues, France, Italy, Germany, England, 3 in a row was an era-defining rarity in terms of league title wins most of the time. And now you've got Bayern winning 25 in a row, and Man City, the first club to win 4 English titles in a row. I know I've talked about this before, but this is the kind of day where it bears repeating. We were always prone, the old firm, Scotland, to a wee run of titles between us, a kind of slightly long run of titles between us. But that was before Celtic basically completely cornered access to the Champions League money through, with the help of us. We didn't sign the documents right or whatever, and that was the EBTs, and that was that. And that was prosecuted to the maximum by the entire fucking everybody in this country that hates Rangers. So many folk, and just some people who are impartial and just chasing tax money, tax that's owed. So this isn't 1986 soonest, but it is similar. The soonest revolution. Celtic are far more organised, incorporated, and kind of backed up by media. And I don't mean in a conspiratorial way. It's right. Celtic. Well, I remember that David Francis really bigoted commentaries in 1986. There's a commentary that David Francis on Radio Scotland. I was at the game, the 4 each game in March '86, which if we'd managed to hang on and win 4-3, Celtic Hearts would have won the league that season. The 4 each draw shortly before Celtic denied Hearts a title back in '86, 40 years ago. And there's commentary of that where it's just he's wetting himself when Rangers come back in to win the game, and just absolutely gutted when Murdo MacLeod makes it 4 each later on. There's open kind of anti-Celtic, and you can call it anti-Catholic hostility if you want as well. I would need to check into it exactly before I accuse MD of anything like that. But I'm not trying to say this in a bad kind of way. It's good that I'm happy for Scotland to be have devolved government and what have you, and I'm glad that they check with me before they do that. But I think it's just things have changed. Things have definitely changed. I think Rangers are basically the anti-establishment team now. Is what I'm saying, and it's been characterised as all being kind of right-wing conservatives, reform, Brexiteers, and that's just not the case at all. When you go, there's definitely people like that support Rangers, but there's plenty of people like that who support Celtic. But I think it's just things are different now. And Celtic are a bit more ingrained as being champions, and the system's set up to help all over football just now. It's set up to help teams who have been winning, clubs who have been winning and been getting Champions League money. This is also, as it was just over 40 years ago, something I'd almost forgotten. Hoping a third party will win the league. Hoping a third party will actually win the Scottish title. When we've been in the top flight, and we've been in the top flight for most of the last 30 years. We had those 4 years out, but almost the last 30 years, I would say, when we're out of the league race in any one season, and when Celtic win the league, is one and the same thing, and vice versa. The day that Rangers or Celtic are confirmed as not being champions of Scotland for another season is the day that the other one is confirmed as being champions of Scotland. It's been the same day, the same thing for ages. So to know that we'd lost the league, what was that, last Sunday, and then have that kind of forlorn hope over a midweek set of fixtures and up to this Saturday that then Hearts could do it. That was taking me back to what I still is instinctively. That's what I grew up with. Was Dundee United, Aberdeen, and then latterly Hearts got in. The new firm and Celtic were all on me a chance of winning the title. There's all these teams that Rangers were never on me a chance when I was growing up. The kind of 9 years in between. It was 8 years really. We nearly won the treble again. Nearly retained the treble in '79, but we lost the title in an effective playoff with Celtic at Parkhead at 78-79. But after that, we were struggling. We're finishing third, fourth, and fifth in the league until Souvenirs came in. But it's been really unusual this season. Take me back to the 1980s, the days of the new firm, and when 3 clubs other than Rangers could be winning the title. Hearts, they get in on it just right at the very time Souvenirs arrived at Ibrox, the very same season. Didn't quite manage it. Hearts didn't quite pull it off, but they were thereabouts. Lawrence Marlborough really is who instigated that revolution under Souness. Into the 90s, it could still, in the 1990s, and we're talking a lot about history today. Anytime a team wins a title, it is history you talk about, so I'm not just going on for the sake of it, yakking on for the sake of it. I'm trying to get in some perspective here, but into the 1990s, it could still be Hearts or Aberdeen as our main challengers for the title. Motherwell popped up for a wee spell at one point, but now it was us who were always winning the league, exploiting all these kind of 1930s, 40s, 50s and early 60s league titles that we'd squirreled away like acorns against the cold winter of Jock Stein's Celtic era. Now in the 1990s, we're shooting off into the sunset again over the kind of total titles horizon. Celtic feel the same right now, and it's intolerable for us, but more so because in the 21st century, all monopolies are exponentially compounded in football. Celtic are halfway to 10 in a row again. It feels never ending, because it is. It's never ending. That's 20 titles out of the last 26 Celtic have won. This is the entire 21st century here. Lawrence Marlborough hasn't taken Jack Gillespie's shares kind of behind the scenes this time, laying the groundwork in an environment that his Lawrence group understands through the family business that's so associated with Rangers. Nevada is now San Francisco, and the new guys, the new owners this time have got more to learn. Not that much more. They've got a lot to teach us, I think. They're probably just sussing out the landscape. Marathi knows what's happening at Leeds, obviously, but they've got more distance to make up, I think, the 49ers than Lawrence Marlborough had in 1986. And yet, not quite as much. I know it was David Holmes that came in and acted on behalf of Marlborough, but he was funding it. I think the 49ers have got more distance to make up, yet in the league table, it's not just as much as I say. Rangers are third. We've finished third, and that's an absolute shock. First time in 8 years we've dropped out the top 2. Whereas before that 8 years that I was between us narrowly losing the league in 79 and winning it again in 86, 87, Rangers couldn't get anywhere near second place. It was awful. That was Souness' second season. What we're doing this season, finishing in third, I was mentioning this the other night after the Hibs game. Souness did that in his second season when Scottish football started to kind of drag on its established past decade of kind of superiority over Rangers, and we ended up finishing third behind Celtic and Hearts in 87-88. We're fifth in the table in 85-86, so we surged to first in 86-87, and you drop back a bit, you reboot, and you go at it. No, this is what we need to be doing just now, taking this season. We were the first team to hit 20 titles in Scotland, the first team to get to 30 titles in Scotland, the first team to get to 40, the first team to get to 50. We need to lay the groundwork just now, keep laying it, to make sure we're the first to get to 60. Our owners need to have been watching today. They need to have been watching. They'll have been watching the game at Falkirk, no doubt, but they need to have been watching the whole country, the 49ers. They need to know and understand what they're up against and what this particular title means and what's influenced its outcome. They have to know that it has to be the last title that we aren't directly influencing, if not exactly winning the title ourselves. Get Ibrox rebuilt. Just get Ibrox rebuilt. We don't want to be sitting here next I'm talking about Godfather early on. I just can hear that, but I don't want my brother coming out the toilet with just his dick in his hand. You know, we need to have the loaded gun next season when it comes to the title race. We can't be sitting hoping Hearts win the fucking league for the first time in 66 years to stop Celtic. Stopping Celtic is just really about us. It's about us winning the league, and it's getting so bad that it is becoming about stopping Celtic. You know, that's a different thing. Not mutually exclusive, but it's a different thing from Rangers winning it, as Hearts have kind of proven today in their own way. But we need to get Ibrox rebuilt, expand that capacity. You went to splash. You went to sports wash. Splashing the cash because they're actually sports washing Kavanagh and Marathi. It's not as bad as what's happening with your petrodollar state, your Middle Eastern types, the kind of stuff that they're trying to cover up. But it's earning your money through medical insurance isn't exactly a nice thing, Andrew Kavanagh. But that's the way things are in the States, I suppose. Doesn't mean to say that's nice. But if they want to sports wash through Rangers, well, you stop Celtic winning titles, even with the help of Tony Bloom's Hearts, and we'll give you a deep clean, and you get Rangers out in front and topping up our historic silverware tallies again, and we'll buff you up to a ferocious shine, lads. We'll buff you up, but good. You're rich, you've got proper money. We'll roll up and spend your last dime because this can't happen again. And if it does, if we're sitting here this time next season and Celtic again are just, bullying everybody in sight because they kind of control Scottish football, just to walk to another league title, I'll just still be supporting Rangers because really, seriously, I mean, I'd much rather be in the bottom tier of Scottish football again, supporting Rangers at a half-empty Ibrox than parading about the town centre with a Martin O'Neill's title flag. Thanks very much, folks. Sorry, I know there's Celtic supporters who watch these pods. I mean, I'm really grateful to anybody who watches it. And you want me to be in pain, and pain is expressed through bitterness and twistedness and what have you at times. This is what you've done to us. You can take that as an extra victory for you today, but you should be drinking if you've won the league. But thanks to everybody, and mostly, of course, the Rangers fans who watch this. Anybody who regularly watches this podcast of mine. I think we've had 58 games this season, Rangers. 58 competitive games. I've tried anyway to get a preview pod and a reaction pod out to all of them, and they're really slowing down and they're really grinding my deliveries. It's making me even morbidly obese than it already was. That's my fault. It's my choice. But I think the morbid obesity is leaking into the style of podcast and what have you. But I'll need to go out and try and lose 10 stone in the space of a month. The World Cup will help that. To see if my pods will get sharper if I'm feeling a bit healthier. I might just be too old. It might still be getting too much. Or is it just the fact that Rangers are making us all feel morbidly obese and fat of brain because it's never-ending trauma, bad news? That's not the case. We have had some nice times this season, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to do the full recap. And I always do a debrief of the game that we've played. This is supposed to be a reaction, and that's why most of it's talking about Celtic winning the league. Rangers have at least stopped their losing run, but there's still massive doubts over Danny Rule. There's massive doubts over everything at Rangers just now. Danny Rule could have been sacked. He could quite realistically have been sacked as I am putting this podcast out, as I'm recording this. Danny Rule could be our manager for the next 5 years and bring us untold. Everything is up for grabs right now. Everything seems possible. Everything good and bad. When people say everything seems possible, they always mean nice, lovely, tweedledee, jingly, sparkly stuff. At Rangers, everything's possible. You want excitement, get on your toes. Everything's possible at Rangers. It has been an absolute ride, folks. It's been a shit season. It's been absolutely awful. There's been so many lows, and you can maybe tell by my wee rant there about Celtic winning the league again that it would have fucking killed me if I didn't have you guys to share it with. It's been great. I'm so grateful to anybody listening to this and the feedback I get, and that really, it keeps me going. So I'm going to be back, as I say, during the week to do a wee recap of the whole scenario, a wee debrief. But as I always do, we'll try and have a go at reviewing this season. Maybe even try and have a go at giving you that one result you've deserved all season. A sub half-hour podcast, but we'll go through the exact ins and outs, the highs, the slightly up, the stunted growth highs we've had this season, and the cosmic lows, the huge dark black torpor we've had for most of this season. We'll go through all that in a bit more detail, a bit more coolly, calmly and collectedly during the week. And I'll say a lot of thank yous to you then for your attention, folks. I'll maybe fuck off for a couple of weeks at that point. People have been saying to me, inundated with at least 2 folks saying, you're going to do World Cup pods. Oh, you're going to do some World Cup pods. I'm really flattered. Thank you so much. That means, but now I'm rethinking it, and I'm maybe imagining that's how you're phrasing that. That's the tone of those messages I've been sent. I think I might go back in there and reread them and find they're actually going, Are you going to do World Cup pods? Oh, I mean, I fucking need a break. Like, my ears are bleeding with this shit, son. I feel sorry for you. I've got to get in touch to make sure that you're all right. My conscience couldn't cope with the fact that, if I didn't send you a post, you might off yourself. Just always checking to make sure Rangers haven't pushed you over the edge. But I can't do a World Cup podcast as well, mate. It's just going to be too much. But there's no doubt I'll definitely put out something during the World Cup. But I'll definitely take things down for a wee while. Try and walk on a pavement or something. Try and walk to the end of the street and back, get a bit of exercise, get a bit of fresh air. But anyway, thank you so much, folks. It's been phenomenal, the attention you've given the pods this season, and that's the last. That is Rangers' final match of this interesting 2025-2026 season, and you have stuck it out. You have endured it. You're proper blue noses. Even some of the Celtic boys that fall in, you're a proper blue nose now. You know exactly what we go through. Thanks very much, folks, and I will talk to you during the week. Just stay in the house. Watch a film that'll take your mind off it. If you get a bank robbery film, some sort of heist film or something like that. There's one, it's 1995. Michael Mann, director. It's Heat, right? And it's about these two guys.